All right, I'm Lewis from SPORK, and this is a song. Watching all the people that I thought were my friends look the other way as if my existence offends their simple life and level of comfortability. While I just don't see that as a life worth living. Watching all my brothers and my sisters lose their faith, while I'm watching myself wither in my existential state, wondering what my purpose is or why I came to be a living, breathing human who that there came to be. Lost in silence so profound. Non-existent is the man flame you found. I prayed, but he would not hear a sound.
All right. So cool. Nice song. I clapped.
Did you?
It made me clap.
I'm
It
sorry.
nobody clapped for me, so you know that it was real clapping.
No one clapped for you?
Yeah, I did episode 0 and nobody clapped. So
Why didn't anyone clap?
It wasn't good enough, I guess.
That's bullshit.
It was a good song.
I'm sure it was great. I would have clapped.
So
I didn't even hear it, but I would have clapped.
I feel like there's not enough things where you just like ask artists like, so what do the lyrics mean? Even though you have like some pretty direct lyrics in that, but like
A lot of my lyrics are very direct. I
Okay.
don't really do a lot of metaphors or anything.
talk to me about it.
About the song?
Yeah, talk to me about the song.
Okay. It was dealing with a point in my life where, I mean, everyone eventually at some point deals with some sort of existential dread. But it was kind of like a point in my life where I was thinking a lot about the fact that I have like a lot of religious friends. I have a lot of non-religious friends.
Yeah, I
have
noticed
a lot
you,
of
like,
people that are
using
challenging
the phrase
in
losing your
between
faith. Yeah.
those
Yeah,
two.
I picked up on that too.
Yeah. And so, like, there does come a point where, like, you kind of think, because, I mean, I am an atheist.
Okay.
And, like, there does come a point where, like, you do think, well, am I the wrong person? Like, am I the one that is not believing for all the wrong reasons? Am I the one that's not really seeing what everyone else is seeing and really kind of, like, catching everyone else's drift? or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so like that song kind of like deals with like a lot of that, because with not existentialism but like nihilism and atheism, like there does come that point where you're like, well, if I have nothing, then what else is there? It's
Sure.
like, well,
Okay.
I don't follow any type of religion. I don't believe in any type of higher power. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I might as well die. And so
That's depressing.
it is really depressing.
That's how you know you're an emo band.
And so like because of that, I have ended up losing like a lot of friends over time. Because some people are very deep rooted in their faith to the opposite extreme, that they don't want to be associated with anyone that has any different point of view
Right.
that deals with that.
Well, I think
And so
I like that you said you were wondering if you were wrong, because I think whether you are on either end of the spectrum or anywhere in the middle, like on faith, stopping and thinking maybe I'm just absolutely wrong, and like being able to step outside of it and looking at it from like third person, that's important. It helps
Yeah.
you have a more like intellectual approach to whatever it is. Like I know
Exactly.
tons of people who are faith oriented who have very intellectual approaches versus people who just, well, you know, I was raised this way and therefore I assume. Like that's
exactly.
cool.
And that's like something I've had to learn, especially like in later on in my life, is like I do realize that back when I was very headstrong and very firm with everything that I believed, and always just kind of like met that confirmation bias and always tried to kind of convince myself that I was right no matter what. And that led to like a lot of complications with a lot of people that I was very well acquainted with in my life. And so there does come a point where like you kind of just have to admit to yourself that you can be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And it's also more than okay to be able to kind of like challenge your own mindset from time to time to really help yourself grow. And that just
That's so
Yeah.
mature. There's nothing I can pick apart there.
Right.
I was not ready for like a really like level-headed point of view on that.
Yeah. Is the song, does it kind of go through all those stages, or is it more written when you were in one of them? Or?
It was written when I was wondering, like, as I was saying, like, I was wondering if I was the one that was wrong about faith and wrong about religion because of the fact that I kept losing people that I considered close to me or important to me in my life. And so that's kind of like where the whole, like, watching all my friends, like, kind of, like, not pay attention to me or not associate with me because I live a different lifestyle than theirs. That's like the first part of the song.
Right.
And the second part of the song is like watching people like lose their faith within their religion and wondering like what they think about like what they once believed and what they believe now.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you take it as a conciliatory thing? Like, do you feel like you've gotten comfortable with the idea of not being able to associate with certain people because of differences, or is it like still sort of like a sore point?
I mean, I definitely have a very tight, not very tight, very I guess you could just say like a very tight-knit group of friends where we're very understanding of each other, and whether like we don't believe what the other believes, we do still remain friends.
Right.
And like that's even like including within my own band.
Right.
Yeah. And any other bands that I've ever played with, or just other friends that I see on a day-to-day basis.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So that's
But
like a fun.
that's the thing though, is like you do meet a lot of people that will just instantly kind of write you off because of like what you believe or what you stand for,
Sure.
and so on and so forth. But where was I going with this? Lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
You asked it.
Oh no, yeah, that was
Okay.
my thing. But like
Yeah.
that led me to like we're getting away from your song in particular.
Right.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
In general, I think, at least in my experience with like especially punk stuff, there's a predisposition in the scene as a whole towards sort of like leftist politics and anti-religious sentiment. Like, so this could be like a sort of an in for you with people, but you seem like you wouldn't like use that. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's like an in for you, like that you would like try to exploit or anything. But like, has that been a thing that you've noticed where like there are people who like pick up on that specifically and like maybe like you because of that, even if they're not as into your like musicality, but they're like, oh, those lyrics resonate with me because I can tell your like ethos or political stance or belief structure. Like, has that been a thing like in scene for you?
Not particularly, because I haven't really influenced much of like my own personal beliefs into my music before.
Okay.
This is definitely the first
Oh, okay.
where I've
All right,
actually
all
really
right.
ever exploited that. And even at that, I haven't performed the song except for once outside of tonight.
Gotcha.
And that was, funny enough, within a group of a lot of religious people. But they also very much liked the song and like wanted to talk to me more about it, which I thought was really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
No, then that's my next question is, we're here talking about it. Do you enjoy that, having people ask? Because like some artists, they play the song, and the last thing they want to do is then get questions. What does that mean? Do you enjoy when people like have
Well, that's what you
questions
showed up
about
here
it?
for today. So.
Yeah, true. But I'm just
No, I definitely enjoy it. I like opening up that conversation for sure, because like it helps break down boundaries. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
millions of religions around the entire world, and being so deep rooted into one and really believing that everyone else is wrong is very ignorant. And so whenever like someone is like willing to open up that conversation with me and willing to break down any boundaries or any like preconceptions that people have about people that don't follow a certain faith or follow a different faith or are in between like what they actually believe, then I think that's really important because it helps everyone understand each other a lot more.
All right, so I ended the last one on a hot take, and it's at the same time. All right, I have 2 minutes, so hot take. I
got a question first. I'm gonna
Oh
interrupt
no!
you.
Oh god! Yeah.
I was wondering this while you were singing because your voice reminded me of him. Do you ever listen to David Bazan?
I don't.
He is a lot of his music is very similar to what that song is about.
Okay.
He went from being a religious artist under the name of Pedro the Lion to being
I've heard of Pedro the Lion,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he went from that to then being kind of like screw religion, I hate all of you, to now he's in this middle ground where everyone kind of loves him from all sides and he gets kind of like loves everyone
Found the
back.
sweet spot.
Yeah, so but not only does your voice remind me of him, but the song and what you're talking about is completely him. So I thought maybe you had
Interesting.
check him out. You may like him. Yeah.
I'll have to check him out.
Well, now we only have 1 minute for the hot take. Okay, you got to speed through this. All right, get ready. It's the bonus round.
Oh, God.
All right, so I was having a conversation today with somebody, and I used to own this shirt from a band called Mindless Self-Indulgence, which is super problematic lyrically. And it just said on the shirt, "You're gonna die alone." And like, it's an edgy statement, but I liked it. So I realized twice in a row, unintentionally, I wore it to visit my grandmother in the hospital. And like, this is not a shirt to wear to a hospital. And like, as much as whatever, you know, that's a really silly circumstance, I think there's a thing where like art that is going to really challenge somebody's like deeply held beliefs, even if you think those beliefs are incorrect or ignorant, you understand how belief helps people get through things, and you don't want to push people away with it. And it's like we were talking about wearing like bad religion shirts. Like, you could still really upset somebody just wearing a bad religion shirt. And like, how do you stand on the potential to like really just upset somebody with it? Like, are you like accepting of that if you can't have a conversation with them?
If
Like-
you can't have a conversation
Yeah, like
with
if
them,
somebody just like listens to it, or if somebody like hears you and just doesn't want to engage, like,
I feel like that's just something you kind of have to accept at that point, because you shouldn't really have to like change yourself or really kind of like force yourself to go
this is
around
Ward's take.
anyone else's boundaries. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so if someone's not really willing to kind of like have a conversation with you about it, or not really be willing to like look on your side about it, then
I philosophically agree with you. I just feel like, especially Ward definitely has this point of view, but
Yeah.
like being on the inside and like carrying that burden with you, knowing you could push away people you care about, like you were talking about in the song, like it's kind of like murky waters. It's the value of putting out art you really care about versus losing people you might care about, and that's, I don't know, for me that's always a hard choice.
it's a very hard choice. I mean, you definitely don't want to like lose the people in your life that you care about. But at the same time, though, like living your entire life without feeling like all of your emotions have been expressed, or like you're kind of like hiding certain things about yourself because you're scared,
Yeah.
it doesn't really do you any justice.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll
I don't
lose
know.
yourself.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, you guys got me. You got the right answers on it. It's just
You don't want to be a dick about it either, though.
I
Just
mean,
be
yeah,
like,
don't be a
"Fuck,
dick
yeah,
about it."
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care what
Yeah.
you think. This is who I am all the time. But if you're respectful, if
Yeah.
they're not going to be respectful back, then that's
it.
that's
yeah.
on them.
Yeah, you're living your best life.
Mm-hmm.
All
Live
right.
your truth.
Well,
On that
thanks
note,
for
There you
being
go.
on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for
Cool.
having me.
And Spork's going on. All right, everyone who's gonna see this a month from now, Spork's going on in like an hour. So be it Sarbes.
An hour.
2 hours.
Okay. It's more
Be
like
it
it.
Sarbes.